Ashley is extracted from a vat brimming with a viscous, ebony substance, then undergoes cleansing and attire. Shortly thereafter, she awakens in a bedroom to find Spencer observing her. Bereft of any recollections about her identity or location, Ashley seeks answers, only to be met with Spencer's offer of wine and the playing of their shared song by the house AI. Spencer hopes this will trigger her memory, yet Ashley remains devoid of recognition. Growing frustrated by her lack of response, Spencer becomes enraged, assaulting her and ultimately causing her demise by strangulation and head trauma. Subsequently, he disposes of the body in a tank outside the residence. Upon the arrival of his mother Victoria, she shows little surprise at the incident and provides Spencer with a notebook to document his reflections on his actions. Spencer assures that he will document it later, noting that the deceased woman didn't seem authentic like Ashley. Subsequently, Victoria retreats to her home laboratory, grappling with doubts about her experiment's efficacy. Meanwhile, Spencer discreetly slips a notebook beneath the door. In the midst of this, Victoria receives a call from Spencer's father, Parker, and they convene in a virtual reality space for a discussion. Parker inquires about Spencer's well-being, prompting Victoria to express her efforts in managing the situation, albeit with Spencer's reluctance to cooperate. Despite Parker's suggestion of seeking clinical assistance for Spencer, Victoria dismisses the idea, fearing separation from her son and aiming to shield him. Parker highlights the inadequacy of the journal entries, urging Victoria to monitor Spencer's actions directly. To maintain objectivity, Victoria opts to install a security camera in Spencer's room. As she resumes her work, it becomes evident that she is a geneticist, repeatedly cloning Ashley for Spencer to harm. Another iteration of Ashley is created, meticulously groomed and dressed by Victoria before being introduced into Spencer's room. Upon Ashley's awakening, Spencer notices the surveillance camera, growing irritated. He immediately interrogates Ashley upon her consciousness, only to be met with her amnesia. Spencer's frustration escalates as he presses her to remember, accompanied by the repetitive playing of their shared song. Filled with fear, Ashley attempts to flee, yet Spencer seizes her once more, ultimately ending her life through strangulation and head trauma as Victoria watches, tears streaming down her face. Enraged, Spencer proceeds to demolish the surveillance camera, before disposing of the body in the tank. A flashback reveals Spencer encountering the real Ashley being abandoned by a stranger weeks prior. Intrigued, Spencer approaches her, coinciding with a message from his mother indicating her prolonged absence at work. Offering Ashley refuge at his home due to the remoteness of the nearest town, Spencer extends his jacket to her against the chill. In the present, Spencer expresses dissatisfaction to Victoria, citing the lack of authenticity in the clones. Victoria implores him for patience, as it's only her fourth attempt. Later that evening, Victoria confronts Parker, holding him responsible for subjecting her to witnessing Spencer's violent acts. Parker defends the necessity, emphasizing the importance of understanding Spencer's needs to prevent further harm. Amidst their conversation, Victoria receives a call from an employee, which she disregards. Subsequently, she resolves to invest more time in nurturing Ashley's clone to enhance her realism and humanity. Parker speculates on the plausibility of Victoria's continued absence from work amid the unfolding events, noting the growing awareness among the employees, but Victoria remains indifferent to his concerns. The following day, Victoria prepares a new clone but refrains from introducing her to Spencer immediately. Instead, she engages him in conversation, urging him to maintain distance from Ashley to allow her adjustment to life and foster her authenticity. Spencer complies, diverting his attention to his art, occasionally perceiving movement within his creations. Sometime later, Spencer encounters Ashley conversing with Victoria in the guest room, prompting Victoria to hastily close the door upon noticing him. Spencer then ventures outdoors to observe ants and sketches them on a portrait of Ashley, perceiving motion within the drawing as well. During a stroll, he encounters a new acquaintance, Marissa, at a neighbor's residence. Marissa explains her temporary house-sitting arrangement while her parents are abroad, and Spencer assists her with unpacking, quickly forming a bond. Upon his return, Spencer creates a blinking portrait of Marissa. Later that evening, Victoria is taken aback by a visitor at the door, Marissa, bearing cookies to express gratitude to Spencer for his assistance. Victoria feigns civility, but once Marissa departs, she admonishes Spencer for engaging with strangers, recognizing the inherent risks. Subsequently, Victoria confides in Parker about Marissa and Spencer's interactions, as well as the progress of the latest clone, which she attributes to her research on social media. The following day, Spencer returns the gesture by delivering the plate to Marissa and presenting her with the portrait, earning her admiration for his remarkable artistic skills. She requests Spencer to create a tattoo design for her, indicating the back of her neck as the chosen spot, which initially unsettles Spencer until she expresses her affection for him. Upon returning home, Victoria demands an account of Spencer's whereabouts and becomes incensed upon learning of his visit to Marissa, instructing him to avoid further contact with her. Spencer vehemently protests, prompting Victoria to divert his attention by promising an introduction to the newest Ashley clone the following day. Another flashback reveals Spencer bringing the real Ashley home, where she discreetly consumes a substance in the bathroom. They later share wine as Ashley requests her favorite song from the house system, anticipating Victoria's late return and suggesting Spencer retire to his room, prompting Spencer to realize her lack of memory of him. He promptly resorts to violence, forcing Victoria to listen as he terminates another clone. After disposing of the body, Spencer confides in Victoria about feeling disconnected from reality, likening it to suffocation by an invisible barrier. However, he expresses gratitude towards his mother for the brief respite provided by the latest clone, embracing her in appreciation. Later, Victoria updates Parker on this advancement and resolves to persist with the experiment, holding on to the hope that these positive developments will ultimately facilitate Spencer's reintegration into reality and enable him to lead a conventional life. The following day, Spencer ponders over the latest clone as Marissa pays him a visit, engaging in conversation. Marissa discloses her past struggle with an eating disorder and cessation of therapy upon improvement, prompting Spencer to vaguely mention his own therapy history without divulging details. Spotting a strand of Ashley's hair on the floor from the previous incident, Spencer swiftly conceals it beneath his shoe as Marissa invites him to attend an art exhibit together. Another flashback revisits the night of the altercation, where the real Ashley admires Spencer's artwork and reveals a tattoo on her arm. Subsequently, she playfully engages with Spencer in a manner unfamiliar to him, but when he attempts to escalate physically, Ashley requests restraint. Spencer's reaction turns violent, culminating in Ashley's demise through strangulation and head trauma, establishing a pattern of behavior. In the present, Victoria completes another Ashley clone and implores Spencer for patience. Spencer assured Victoria of Ashley's secrecy and they disposed of the body in the lab. On the day of the art exhibit, Spencer confides in Marissa about his lack of exposure to art, having been homeschooled since a tragic incident in 6th grade. Spencer recounts accidentally causing a girl's fatal fall during a game, leading to his isolation by Victoria. Marissa challenges Victoria's decision, sympathizing with Spencer's childhood innocence. She surprises Spencer by showcasing the portrait he gifted her at the exhibit, initially provoking his anger and vulnerability, but ultimately earning his gratitude for her pride in him. Meanwhile, Victoria realizes Spencer's absence and his abandoned phone. In the evening, Marissa accompanies Spencer home, catching a glimpse of Ashley at the window before departing. Victoria confronts Spencer angrily upon his return, asserting her sole role in his care and warning against seeking solace elsewhere. Spencer explains Marissa's influence, inadvertently overheard by Ashley, who retreats to the guest room, haunted by disturbing memories of her ordeal. In the morning, she awakens from the unsettling dream and seeks solace outdoors to clear her thoughts. When Victoria approaches, Ashley confides in her about the nightmares and questions why Spencer is kept at a distance. Victoria reassures her, attributing Spencer's distance to shyness and emphasizing his role in finding her. Subsequently, Victoria shares this conversation with Parker, torn between concern over Ashley's potential revelations and excitement regarding the prospect of DNA-retaining memories. Later, Ashley clandestinely enters Spencer's room, discovering indentations on the floor beneath the carpet resembling those from her dream. Examining Spencer's drawings, she is perturbed by the depiction of her own face. Ashley retreats to her room with the sketchbook, but is interrupted by Victoria's knock, prompting her to conceal it under a pillow. Hours later, Spencer expresses his desire to abandon their endeavors in favor of a normal life with friends, prompting Victoria's vehement opposition, citing his history of violence and reluctance to change. The following day is linked to his mother's. Victoria also receives the message. Concerned, Victoria decides to return home immediately, disregarding her employees' objections. Shortly after, Ashley finally has the chance to peruse the sketchbook and is alarmed by the increasingly unsettling portraits on each page, prompting her to discard it. Meanwhile, Marissa sneaks into the house after receiving no response from Spencer, fearing for his safety. Spencer confronts her in the kitchen, expressing his intention to change for her before attempting to strangle her. Marissa defends herself by striking him with a wine bottle, then seeks escape while calling for help. Ashley, hearing Marissa's cries, finds a hammer in her closet and uses it to break free from her confinement. In the kitchen, Spencer subdues Marissa and prepares to stab her with a glass shard, just as Ashley appears in the corridor. Spotting a car outside, Ashley rushes to hide in the lab, where she stumbles upon Victoria's experimental equipment and has a breakdown upon discovering recordings of the clones emerging from the vat. She also finds wanted posters, realizing the real Ashley was a criminal. Meanwhile, Victoria discovers Marissa's lifeless body in the kitchen and confronts Spencer, berating him. Upon learning of Marissa's call, Victoria instructs Spencer to retrieve Ashley and dispose of the bodies. When Spencer realizes Ashley is missing, Victoria panics, refusing to shoulder all the blame. While Spencer disposes of Marissa's body, Victoria enters the lab, where Ashley confronts her with a hammer, demanding answers. Victoria insists that Spencer saved her from a life of crime, but Ashley remains unconvinced, recalling his attack on her. Attempting to strike Victoria, Ashley inadvertently damages the computer. Hearing the commotion, Spencer intervenes, prompting Ashley to flee. Outside, Ashley ambushes Spencer, unleashing her fury with a barrage of blows until he succumbs to his injuries like his previous victims. At that instant, the police arrive and promptly apprehend Ashley. Victoria discovers Spencer's lifeless body and grieves intensely. Rather than succumbing to despair, she bids farewell to Parker and dismantles the virtual reality device. Determined to continue, she embarks on the process of cloning her son.